What's going on? Welcome back to another week of news. So this week has been a really big week for tech news in general, just because of all the things that are going on in the industry right now, and with companies sort of fighting over top dog. So after PlayStation released a lot of specs about its new next generation console, Xbox just released all of its stuff with it. So they're going to be very similar, it seems like, as far as specs and everything that they could do, but we'll see once we get closer to the release date. So the Xbox Project Scarlett is the code name right now for it, and it's supposedly going to have support 120 FPS gaming. It doesn't say at what resolution, but just 120 FPS, which would be huge. Most likely it'll be FreeSync because the system itself is going to run off of AMD-based hardware and AMD-based CPU with Ryzen 2 cores in it, then a Navi-based GPU. It's also going to be apparently support 8K. At the moment, I'm not sure if it's going to be for 8K gaming at like 30 FPS, or is it going to be 8K video playback like Netflix or movies or whatever. It's still a year off, so we got a long way to go with information on that. And then continuing on, it's going to have Halo Infinite is going to be one of the main launch titles for it. We'll see once more rumors drop about that later on. And then finally, it's going to have SSD based, which is big because no console's ever done SSDs. Currently, PlayStation 4 is also rumored to have SSD, same sort of specs. They might even be the same CPU and GPU that are going to be in this and the PS5. We'll see once we get closer to launch date what kind of differences they're going to have. It's also most likely going to be a tiered system, kind of like the current Xboxes. There's going to be the top one with the 8K, 120 hertz, all that kind of stuff. It's probably going to be around the price of the Xbox One X. Moving down, it's going to be probably more of a One S sort of console. And then finally, there's going to be rumored a streaming version that's going to be for their xCloud gaming service, kind of like what Google's doing right now. So we'll stay tuned for that for more information once it sort of drops, and I think it will over the next coming months. Now moving on to AMD. So now that we have all this new information from AMD, this was a big press event for them at E3. They really threw a lot of stuff out there, so I'm not going to be able to cover all of it, but I'm going to cover some of the main points. They've now sort of taken the cover off of the new RX 5700 XT and RX 5700 GPUs, which are going to be some of the first consumers for the Navi architecture. So these are going to be competing with the RTX 2070 and the RTX 2060 respectively. They're apparently going to be cheaper and more powerful than the current ones. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on though. They're also going to be a lot less power hungry just because of the 7nm architecture and how AMD has really put an emphasis on power efficiency for this next generation. So they're going to be using something called, I think it's Navi DNA. So it's basically going to be sort of a base sort of design for all of these cards in the future. So it's going to be able to use them for all sorts of things. They're going to be around for things like, you're going to see it in smartphones apparently, we're going to be seeing it in laptops, we're going to be seeing it in graphics cards for gaming versus server. We're also going to be seeing it in a bunch of other things. So this Navi should be around for a little while, but Vega's still not going anywhere quite yet. They are not sort of getting rid of it. This is just their new product. So these are going to be extremely powerful graphics cards for the price. I'm very excited to see more information on these in the coming weeks. We'll see what else they release on these. They also announced the X570 chipset, which is going to be some of the first high-end motherboards we've seen from AMD in a long time. This is very exciting because now Intel's actually got some competition in the ultra high-end market. They're going to be there's a lot of ones that have been announced. There's going to be an MSI Godlike, a normal MSI motherboard. There's going to be a lot of ASUS motherboards for this, and then some Aorus ones from Gigabyte. So we're now finally getting a sort of a high-end competition of the i9, which is going to be great because the i9 is extremely overpriced for what it can do, but it is still the best of the best for gaming. And the prices that we've sort of seen a little bit of leaks for the prices for the next generation of the Ryzen, it's going to be about equal to what Intel's charging, but with more performance in each category, whether it's Ryzen 3, 5, 7, or 9. So this is going to be very exciting to see what they end up doing with that in the next coming months leading up to the release, which should be very soon actually. Lastly, I want to talk about all the new information we've gotten about the Nvidia Super RTX series. So they teased this about 3 weeks ago, I think it was, with just a small teaser with just Super on it. Well, we didn't know what it was, but now we sort of know. They're going to be a mid-cycle refresh for the RTX series, 20 series. I think it was they were delaying on fully getting the information out there until they knew what AMD was going to do with Navi. Now that AMD's done that and Nvidia's doing this to sort of put a wet towel on the fire of AMD. I don't think it's going to work, but we'll see. So rumor has it it's going to be pretty much just all the TI variants coming out for the 20 series with increased memory bandwidth from 14 gigabits to 16 gigabits, which is a decent bump. And then there's also going to be more cores for each of the Super series, and it's also going to lower the price of the normal ones. So like a 2080 Super is going to be the same price as the current 2080, and the 2080 is going to get a decrease in price. We'll see if that actually happens or how much it's going to be. And then another thing is there's going to be a whole new chip for the 2080 Ti apparently, which is going to be, we don't know if it's going to be from the Titan series or just something totally that we haven't even seen yet. Also with more CUDA cores. So they might also be getting a VRAM bump for how much they have, not just the speed, but how much they have. We'll see. This has been a lot. They've been sort of releasing data, but not a whole lot, just because they're sort of trying to release stuff as late as they can and just sort of wait. Just once they always seem to do this, they try to dampen whatever AMD is doing and sort of keep the focus on them. We'll see. June 21st, there's supposed to be a bigger reveal, so we're hoping we'll see that this week. We'll find out for sure once next week comes around if we end up getting this or not. That's it for this week's episode. Tune in next week for more.